28 years ago, Danny Boyle gave us one of the most terrifying visions of the apocalypse ever put on screen. 28 Days Later wasn't just another zombie flick, it was a cultural reset. It had shaky handheld cameras, Cillian Murphy giving us one of his most haunting performances, and a society falling apart in real time. And somehow, that's all it took for a low-budget British horror to turn into a worldwide phenomenon. And now in 2025, we finally got the sequel fans have been begging for, 28 years later. But here's the twist. Instead of uniting the horror community, it's tearing it apart. Some people are calling it the best zombie movie in years, but others are saying it's one of the worst sequels ever made. So today we're diving deep. What makes 28 years later so polarizing? What are the most talked about scenes? And why is this fan base more divided than the survivors inside the movie itself? Well, to understand the chaos around 28 years later, you need to know the weight of this franchise. Back in 2002, 28 Days Later changed everything. Before The Walking Dead or World War Z, Boyle showed us the apocalypse wasn't slow. It was sprinting straight at you. The rage virus wasn't your traditional zombie lore. The rage virus, the fast infection, and those empty London streets felt like a nightmare that could become reality. Then came 28 Weeks Later, a more action-heavy sequel. Some fans loved the escalation, but others felt it lost the intimacy of Boyle's original. Still, both films had earned a reputation for being some of the scariest, most grounded zombie stories ever put to screen. Fast forward to now, after nearly 2 decades of rumors, false starts, and fan petitions, we finally have 28 years later. With Danny Boyle back as the director, Cillian Murphy producing, and a cast stacked with names like Jodie Comer and Aaron Taylor Johnson, fans' expectations were sky high. But here's the thing. When expectations reach that level, disappointment is almost inevitable. Let's give 28 Years Later credit where it's due. The visuals are jaw-dropping, and Boyle hasn't lost his touch for atmosphere with those eerie, quiet stretches before all hell breaks loose. The cinematography itself has been praised as some of the most haunting in the trilogy. Fans across forums describe the attack scenes as some of the most intense the genre has seen in years. And it reminds you why this franchise has always stood apart from every other zombie story. And let's not forget the callbacks. Fans are spotting Easter eggs everywhere with echoes of John Murphy's iconic score. Visual parallels to 28 Days Later's most chilling shots. If you're a diehard fan, you'll catch plenty of those "oh wait" moments. Even critics who dislike the film overall admit when the horror hits, it really hits. The atmosphere is oppressive and the violence is shocking. So yeah, there's a reason some people are leaving theaters saying, this was worth the wait. But here's where things go south. A lot of people think the characters just don't work. Jodie Comer and Aaron Taylor Johnson are incredible actors, but viewers complain their arcs feel thin, rushed, and at times even contradictory. Then there's the pacing. The first half builds slow tension, but once the action hits, it's like the movie slams the fast-forward button. Major plot points fly by so fast that none of them stick. Even the action with helicopters, fireballs, and massive infected swarms is pure spectacle. Some hate it, saying it feels too polished, too Hollywood. Remember how 28 Days Later felt? Dirty and raw, almost like a documentary? Yeah, this wasn't that. But nothing has people arguing more than the ending. Without spoiling, let's just say it flips the series on its head. Some are calling it genius, while others are saying it's the moment that the series jumped the shark. Let's break down the 3 moments that keep coming up in every forum, every review, every heated Twitter thread. Number 1, the viral spread reveal. Midway through, we get a twist about how the rage virus has evolved. Some say it's a clever way to raise the stakes, but many think it's lazy writing. Like, oh no, the virus leveled up. Number 2, the character deaths. They're brutal and they're sudden, like no one's safe. And while that does make things unpredictable, some fans argue it's cheap shock value with not enough emotional buildup. And number 3, the ending twist. I won't spoil it, but it changes the rules in a way that leaves audiences gasping. Some people are convinced it sets up another sequel, while some are convinced it ruins the entire franchise. Take your pick. And so this leads us to the heart of the debate. The tone. 28 Days Later was ugly, grainy, and intimate. In a way, it felt like a student film shot in the middle of the apocalypse. That rawness is what made it terrifying. But 28 years later, slick, big budget, polished to the bone. It's got drone shots, huge explosions, and massive set pieces. It feels more like a Hollywood blockbuster than a scrappy indie horror like the first movie. That's where the line is drawn. Many horror fans believe horror has to evolve, and the same style can't be recycled over and over again, while others argue the series lost its soul the moment it traded the rawness for the Hollywood glitz. 28 years later went from being just a movie release to a full-blown culture war inside the horror community, with Reddit threads overflowing with thousands of comments, X memes roasting the ending, and YouTube reviewers dropping hour-long breakdowns. And the fan reactions? Oh, it's war out there. The old school fans wanted grit, intimacy, and that creeping sense of dread. The newer fans wanted scale, chaos, and blockbuster horror. And 28 years later is trying to feed both camps. And in doing so, it split the audience right down the middle. If you came looking for bleak, slow burn terror, you probably walked out shaking your head. If you came for explosions and mayhem, you probably loved every second. The film is basically a mirror, reflecting back whatever you want or you don't want from modern horror. But here's the bottom line. Whether you love it or you hate it, 28 years later is impossible to ignore. It's got people screaming, fighting, arguing, and dissecting every frame. And honestly, that's kind of perfect, because horror isn't meant to be safe. It's meant to divide, disturb, and it should get under your skin. And honestly, that's classic Danny Boyle. He's never been interested in comfort. So the real question is, what now? Do we want another sequel, or should the franchise finally rest in peace? Let me know in the comments, is 28 Years Later the best zombie movie in years, or the franchise's weakest link? Either way, one thing is certain, the rage virus isn't the only infection spreading. The debate has only just begun.